Hello, Elbenita.
Hi, hi, Tom.
As usual, I'm in an airport. I'm in Dublin Airport on the way to London. Um, yeah, it's I'm a director working in opera and theatre in Ireland and also internationally. And I've been a member of the EFFEA jury since the beginning of the process. Also, Elbenita, it's great to meet you. Where are you speaking to us from today, and what are you doing there?
I'm right now at the Probebühne in Zurich, waiting to start the rehearsal at 10 o'clock, where currently I'm singing Liu from the Opera Turandot at the Open House Zurich in Switzerland.
Fantastic. So this initiative is about emerging artists, and this is an initiative about residencies. And I thought it would be interesting, maybe to track your journey from the beginning a little, and maybe through the residencies you've had and the relationships that you've had with different organizations, and how that's contributed to this extraordinary journey that you've had so far.
Thank you.
Can you, so you, you're from Kosovo, from a
Yes.
small city. Can you tell us how you started singing, and how the path to being an opera singer began for you?
Yeah, I come from a small city. It's not the smallest in Kosovo, but if you compare it to other cities, which is called Mitrovica, it is still a problematic city because of the politics. It's divided into parts in south and north, populated from Serbs in north and Albanians in south. So I grew up in a kind of problematic state during my childhood. But it was, in one side, a very beautiful childhood, but also a very sad one, because I'm a war child. So I experienced the war in Kosovo, and that's how I started to sing, because I would find myself in very horrible situations as a child, and I wanted to escape this reality and not live what I was watching. So I started to sing in my mind, and that brought me to another universe, you know. And this is how I thought that, okay, this is a way that I could express myself, and I could travel in my imagination and go wherever I want. So this is how I started to sing. I was 8 years, 8.5, 9 years during the war. And then we were refugees in Albania, and we started to have little concerts so the children could forget a bit what they lived, you know, during the war. And that's how I fell in love with music.
And where did you go after that? When did the possibility that this might be something that you could do for a living and even for your whole life?
Yeah.
Where did that possibility come from?
Well, my father, when we came back from the war, he said, okay, we see that you want to sing, so we should go on with it. But he never thought that I'm going to become an opera singer, because we had no clue what opera is. You know, I grew up with folk music, and he thought that I will sing like some, you know, other singers who sing about the war, and, you know. And then he registered me in the musical school, playing violin. But I did not like the violin. So after 1 year, I changed it to clavier, so piano. And I started to sing with another voice, something that no one was used to hear. And my teacher said, we think that you could be an opera singer. And I was like, what is that? You know, I don't know what that is. So she explained to me, and I went straight to these internet cafes, little internet cafes, you know, because we didn't have internet at home yet. And I went to these internet cafes, and I wrote Maria Callas. So I started to listen to Maria Callas. And the first aria that I listened was E bene andrò lontana from La Valli. And I was impressed by this voice and by this way of acting. And even though I did not understand any word, it just touched me in my heart, and I kind of understood what she's saying, although I had no clue about the words. So I said, if this is a way for me to express my feelings in different roles and to express everything I have inside, then I'm going to choose this. I'm going to pursue this dream. But still, you should know that I had no plan. Okay, I had no plan, and Kosovo does not have an opera house yet. But I started to learn these arias in the high school, and then I registered in the university in Pristina, and that's when it became real. It started to become real with me singing different arias, and then I got to be part of the Philharmony of Kosovo immediately, and then I started to sing as a soloist very often. And but at some point when I finished my studies, Kosovo was too small for all my huge dreams that I had, because I wanted to see myself in the stage of Maria Callas where she was performing, or where Karajan was conducting, or these big dreams. But sometimes I think, oh God, it was so unreal. How could I dream that big when we were poor? We had barely money to study in Pristina, and then to think of going and conquer the world was a bit maybe too much of me. But still, I think my heart and my mind, I knew it, that I could make it if I never give up. So I started to be part of different festivals in Kosovo. We have different festivals in Kosovo, and I was singing in each one of them, actually. And in one of the festivals, I met a woman who was an opera singer, Dorothy Stone, who invited us, some students in America, and we were chosen 10 students, 10 singers, to go in America. And then there I met Vera. So everything went through connections and through people that I met during this journey. But I was lucky enough to meet the right people at the right moment. So during this festival, I went to America, and then from America, I met Vera Calabria, who organized all the auditions that I needed to have in Berlin Staatsoper, Deutsche Oper, Bayerische Staatsoper. So, but believe me, it's much longer than this, because all the sacrifices you have to make, and a lot of things that go on. The journey is not very easy. It was difficult because Kosovo was not allowed to travel freely in Europe, so I had to get a visa somehow. But I never gave up. I found a way to get a visa from the Italian embassy, and that's how I had my auditions in 3 opera houses. So yeah, it was a long journey, but yeah.
Tell me about the experience of performing at festivals in Kosovo for the first time.
Yeah.
What was it like as an emerging artist to find yourself surrounded by all of these other artists in these festival moments?
Well, Kosovo is a small country, but festivals in Kosovo, they brought many amazing artists from all over the world. And for me as a student at that time, it was such an amazing thing to see these artists, these foreign artists come and perform in Kosovo, and it inspired me immensely. Really, I was so proud to share the stage with these artists very often, and we got to also have some master classes sometimes, which really helped us, and especially me in this case, because I could see the world differently in many aspects, in music, in opera singing. Because when you don't have an opera house in your country, you really do not have the idea what it is to sing a role from the beginning to the end, because it's quite challenging. So we got to learn from many other singers who came to sing in these festivals. As a student, that inspires you really much, and you see that there is a way to connect, because that's how I connected that's how I connected with the right people to get out of Kosovo and sing all over the world.
Is there a particular artist that you encountered at this time that made a particular impact on you?
Oh yeah. Well, in this case, she's Albanian too. It's Ermonela Jaho, a very well-known opera singer who was my inspiration, and who in my beginning, in my journey when I traveled from the first time in Italy, she's the one who really helped me with everything, even with my hotel, because I had no idea what it is, to take the U-Bahn, the metro, or the train, or so all these things. She was my light, And another festival brought my teacher, who is still my singing teacher since 14 years. She's my singing teacher, Caroline Merz. So these festivals have built, for me personally, some amazing connections that for me now are part of my life and part of my journey.
I think sometimes we underestimate the impact that these festival experiences can have for emerging artists. The opportunity to imagine yourself in a context that's beyond where you are yourself, the
Yeah,
possibility of this kind of inspiration, these relationships that you never quite know when they're going to happen or when they're going to
yeah,
emerge, but that will persist, sometimes for your whole life or your whole career.
yeah,
Um, I'd love to talk then. In a way, then the next period of your work involved residencies in a way in opera
yeah.
houses in Germany, in the Deutsche Oper
Hmm.
Berlin, in Essen, and then in Hamburg. Um,
Yeah,
so what's it like for an artist, a young emerging artist, to come into a big organization like that? And what's what's the kind of yeah, what's that experience like? What's the
oh
discovery
my
and the
God.
development that happens?
It was like a dream to me for the first time to find myself at the Deutsche Oper Berlin, because I won the opera studio place. So I was one of the opera studio singers, and it was another world, to jump into this huge opera house that has performances every day. And you're a young artist coming from a country where you never sang a role from the beginning to the end. And my first role that I performed was Frasquita from Carmen. And I say that this performance really, I'm sure, shortened my life for 10 years. I had so much stress and I was so scared. I was freaking out when I see this curtain open and this huge opera house and this orchestra playing in such an amazing way. So in one way, it inspired me, of course, to go on, because I was like, oh my God, I'm 23 years old, and I'm standing on stage with Roberto Alagna, who was singing Don José, and Clémentine Morgan, who was singing Carmen. So I was so inspired to go on and sing even more. I shared the stage. I got to share the stage with Domingo, with Netrebko, with Anya Herteros, with Villazon. We also worked with Roberto Villazon in the new production of La Rondine. So as a young artist, you learn so much, and you are in the middle of art, actually, or in the middle of these people with every movement that they made on stage. I learned something, but still it was also challenging, because you have to be concentrated all the time. You have to study all the time. You have to have this discipline that it's quite difficult, but for me it was amazing, and it was a great chance in my life that I got that place, that opera studio place. And after Deutsche Oper, I had the opera studio place at the Salzburger Festspiele, which is the biggest festival in the world for opera and for concerts. So even there, it was amazing, to get a chance as an emerging artist, because in both these places I was a young artist, and I was trained, in a way. So it was beautiful, and I'm very thankful for every second of that time. But then in Essen, I started to sing as a professional, so it was my first contract as a professional singer. And sometimes the ensemble, when you are a part of the ensemble in opera houses, you have to be very smart and know how to save yourself and your voice, and because you get so many roles, and so many performances, especially in the beginning. But now I find myself in Hamburg with a residence contract, and in a much good way, and I only have maximum 14, 15 performances a year. And in this way I can also travel and go other places and sing. Like right now I'm in Zurich, and I also have the freedom to freelance as an artist.
Um, Working, I mean, particularly in Germany and in the German speaking world, you're doing presumably all kinds of different productions also. Like
Yeah,
there are still older productions in the repertoire, but
yeah,
then often very contemporary or very avant-garde
yes.
productions as well. Can you talk about yeah, what it is like to move between these different worlds in a way, and and also I guess you've talked about that experience of being in the ensemble for the first time and having to do a lot of roles, and sometimes presumably that would be without a lot of rehearsal or jumping into
Yes,
something
yes,
and things
yes,
like
yes,
that. And
yes, yes, yes.
but then But I guess then, you know, also you have opportunities to make new productions, and you have opportunities to come
Hmm.
back to roles, you know, particularly, you know, certain roles that you have really made your own, that you're coming back to again and again.
Yes,
So
yes.
this, yeah, I'd love to just hear your experience of all of those things, this sort of
Yeah.
experience of working in productions.
It is sometimes an amazing experience, and sometimes it's quite challenging, you know. Um, in classic productions, of course, it's much easier, and for us singers, it's a dream to wear the corsets, you know, and um, because it brings back that dream that we had, that I had as a child in these videos that I saw. But also you have modern productions that are really, really, really good and that really make sense. So it's the best thing for me as a singer when I go in a new production, so for example, and when you have the presentation of the production, um, you sometimes have directors who have amazing ideas, but sometimes you also have directors who maybe for them it's a great idea, but they really go out of the story. And us singers, we don't like that sometimes, you know. We have a lot of questions like, why is this and why is this? And if we get a good answer, then for us it has to make sense. Every movement that I do, it has to make sense, because in this way I can play freely, and I can express and I can say more with this role, you know. So I had some amazing, amazing experiences. I also had some maybe challenging experiences in my career, but in the end, all together with my colleagues, with the conductor, with the director, and everyone else, we make it work. And the good thing about Germany, or at least with the people that I worked, is that if I said that something was not very comfortable for me, then it was immediately changed, you know. And they have this respect for singers, and I like that, and I really like to work in that kind of environment. So yeah, I had many different experiences, but when you go back to the classic, for us, it's, as I said, it's interesting, you know, to wear the corsets and the beautiful dresses and to play in a very classic way. But also the modern ones, they can be really interesting.
Can you talk about maybe a particular experience of a modern production that you've had that for you was particularly exciting or interesting, or
Yes, so the new production made from David Bush in Hamburg, Manon from Massenet. That's a role that I sing very often, and I really like. I really loved the approach that he had towards the role, and how he explained everything from the beginning to the end, and he knew exactly who this girl is, you know, and he came with very clear ideas. Um, I like it because I say it's my invention. I say it's quite Tarantino style, you know, and it's so nice, very well made. And in this fourth act, and how she grows, how Mano grows from being 14 years old, 15, 16, falling in love, and then chasing the rich life and the money, and then ending in a very bad way. I think he really explained that very good, and he put that very good on stage from the beginning to the end. So it's also always a joy in this fourth act to play this Russian roulette. You know, I have a gun and I play this Russian roulette in my fourth aria. Or we also have drugs, but they explain it so well. You know, they match with the story. So I really like that. But I also had other productions where we had the director, I'm not going to mention names, that did not even know who my role is, and it was a leading role, you know. So that those kind of experiences, it's not very comfortable, because you go very well prepared as a singer, you know. You know every breath, you know every note that was composed. And I analyze the orchestra score always, because I'm very interested to know which instruments are playing when I'm singing, and which instruments is accompanying me when I do this line or that line. So if you go very well studied and then you get a director who don't know who your role is, then it is a bit uncomfortable, you know. But I had beautiful experiences also with Calixto Bieito when we did Falstaff. It was also very nice to work with him, and he's quite chill, you know. He's more chill mode. You also have directors who are very strict, you know. And different experiences, but from every experience you learn something and you grow as an artist, and I really like that. I always try to get the good things that I'm going to need in my journey.
You talked about this first encounter in the internet cafe with Maria Callas.
Yeah.
And I'm interested maybe if you could talk about the experience of working with Marina Abramovich on where in a way you embodied Maria Callas and performing
Yeah.
Tosca in this production. You know, somebody who's you know, another kind of extraordinary performer from a completely different world.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder, could you talk a little bit about this experience?
It was such a beautiful experience. When we met her, she was so nice, and we went out to dinner. So it was very interesting, the conversations that I had with her. And there was also an exhibition of her going on right at that time in November in London. So I went to see this exhibition, and then we went to dinner. And the one thing that I told her, I said, I I envy you. I'm so jealous of you. And she looked at me and she said, why? I said, because you lived your life so freely. You did not care. You know, you did whatever you wanted. You did not care about the judgments, about anything. So she inspired me as an artist, and it was so nice to work with her. And what she did, I think it's quite impressive, and I really like it. And it was a privilege and an honor to sit with her and talk politics, talk kunst, so art, music, performance, everything. So we are still in contact, and she's right now working in another project in which I may also be part, but still in the process. And she looks
Fantastic.
very much like Maria Callas, which is really weird.
No,
It's
for
really
sure.
weird.
But it must be extraordinary also given her, you know, her background, where she comes from, her
Yes.
experience of starting making this kind of work that she was in that part of the world,
Yes.
and then going to, yeah, internationally into America. Um, and
I
it's
was
interesting
I
that,
was
I was
I
just
was
going to say,
skeptic, I must say, yeah.
sorry, there's a delay, I think, but just, you know, someone in a way from a completely different field, but who
Hmm.
can really be an inspiration also.
Yes. Because she's also a performer, and although everything she does, it's real, it's her, but it's a performance. So the way she does these performances, or these experiments that she does, for me, are inspiring, because she lets go, and she lets her body just go with whatever she wants to do. And that inspires me, of course, because on stage, sometimes to make a role work, you have to do that. You have to just be that person and go with it and let go, and not have any other preoccupation during that time when you're singing. So that's why I was very inspired. You go 100% and you do this role 100%, and of course it's gonna get a good result.
Um, I'd love to talk about competitions for a minute. So I mean,
Oh yeah.
you've had great success in competitions, but obviously this is, I think, particularly for singers and musicians, this experience of competitions is often such a big part of the beginning of your career. Can you talk about that experience of being in competitions, and maybe how you navigated them, and the
Hmm.
particular pressures and the particular opportunities from competitions?
um well, competitions are a part of a singer's life, especially in the beginning, and I got the competition list. As a young artist in Deutsche Oper, we would get a list, you could participate, because we were young artists, so they would really tell us, how to build the career, or how to start, and go on. So it was sometimes good, very good experience, sometimes disappointed with myself, not with the competition. So it is a struggle. It's a lot of work, a lot of emotions, and when you go and compete maybe with your colleague, it's sometimes very, very weird. But competitions, in competition juries, sometimes they are sitting the most important people of the opera world. So if they like you, then you're on. I had some very good experiences, and I won some competitions, and I also had um, how to say, you are present, so they see you. It's important to go because, as said, you have casting directors who just come to listen to singers, you know, during the semifinals or the finals. So it's a very good opportunity and a very good chance to show yourself and to let them see what you can do or what you can sing on or in which repertoire are you good, on in which direction you could go. So I think it's a very good thing if one can do competitions, but you also have people who never won a competition who are stars, you know. So as a singer, sometimes you're not good in auditions, for example, but if someone sees you in a role from the beginning to the end, then it's different, you know. So you never know if you have this the shining, you know, for competitions. There are some amazing artists who did not win competitions who are stars today. So, but I think to present yourself, it's a very good place.
So one of the most recent things that you've done is launched the Baja Barisha scholarship for Albanian artists studying in Germany. Can you talk about where this idea came from and how you made it happen and the partners that you're working with, and I mean, yeah, what is it as an artist to offer this kind of opportunities?
Yeah, well, my whole journey has started with me winning a scholarship because I won the scholarship at the opera studio in Berlin. So since I live in Germany since 10 years, and I've had so many students coming from Kosovo with whom I helped, you know, and in their journey, and they slept in my apartment. So because I know how difficult it is to start studying or working or start a career outside of Kosovo, knowing our economic state coming from Kosovo. So I was talking with my husband and with some very big supporters of my journey who are also big sponsors of the Opera House in Hamburg. So, and then they said, why don't you launch a stipendium, because we would support you and we would help you, and that would be every year, and we could choose a student to support and pay for their rent, you know, during their studies. And that was for me a huge thing because I help these people anyway, always the students, but I wanted the help to be bigger and more present, you know, and to have more funds. So they supported me and they helped me a lot. And I sang, we had a concert, and in this concert there were the most important people of the opera world in Hamburg, and the people who support Elbphilharmonie, who support Staatsoper Hamburg, who support Leitshalle, you know. So they also supported me, and I'm really happy that this stipendium took life, and it's going to go on now every year, and I'm going to be able to support Albanian artists who have big dreams and who want to make these dreams come true in Germany.
And how do you select the artists that you're going to support? How is this going to work?
Well, me and my husband, we are both musicians. He's also a composer, and we also have these Lars and Leonie, who are always present in the opera house and who are big supporters of the opera house. So these students that are going to be chosen have to be registered in a university in Germany, have to have, you know, have to have passed the first exam, and we have to see. We ask for how to say. German words are coming out, and a letter that why would they deserve this stipendium. And of course we also want to see videos of them playing their instrument or singing, or you know, and we will also analyze their economic state back in Kosovo, because we do have connections, we know everyone in Kosovo, and we are going to choose people who really need this scholarship, who really need this money, because in Germany you cannot study if you come from Kosovo if you don't put 9,000 euro in the Sperrkonto. So you have to have this 9,000 euro in a bank account in Germany, so that they allow you to study in Germany, so that you get the visa to come and study in Germany. So we are a group of 5 people who we are going to choose this students who deserves, I mean, I'm sure they all deserve it, but who has the biggest need, you know, economically and financially, for us to support them.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. in a way, we're always emerging artists, right? We're always,
Yes.
you know, and I wonder, are there things at the moment that you haven't done yet that you're excited for?
Oh, yes.
Are there
Yes.
plans that you have that you can tell us about, or are there you know, things that you would really like to do that you haven't been able to make happen yet?
Well, you know, as you said, we're always emerging artists, and I'm like I want to be like the river that moves all the time, you know. And of course, I have performed in a lot of opera houses that were my dream, but my dream is still the Royal Opera in London, for example. And my seal is to go there. But one of the dreams that I had, the biggest dream that I had, was to perform at the Vienna Staatsoper, and I'm going to do that in the end of October. So my dream was also to sing at the Edinburgh Festival. I'm going to do that during this summer. So I have my Ziel, you know, I have my points where I want to go, and my motto is never give up and work hard to go there. Because you can say never give up, but not do the work. But you have to do the work and never give up.
This is really good advice. We have an opportunity, if anyone who is listening has a question or would like to make a comment, you can put a message in the chat, or you can use the raise hand function on Zoom, and I will take a couple of questions and comments. But maybe while people are thinking about those questions and comments, Elbenita, there are a lot of artists here, and also festivals and organizations that are supporting emerging artists and that have really made this commitment to emerging artists. I wonder, is there any other advice that you could give to the emerging artists who might be here, but also to the organizations here that are supporting emerging artists?
Well, my advice would be, what I've learned in this journey is connections. So my advice would be to put these emerging artists, or these artists that we're choosing, in so much in contact with a lot of people, because you never know where or what it will come, or from whom something will come. So the supporting, of course, it's amazing, but I think what I've learned in my journey is contacts is the most important thing, and that is very important. My husband also now, he won a scholarship in Leipzig as a composer residency, and it's amazing how they put him in contact with so many people, so many important people, and I see that really makes a difference.
I think one of the things that's interesting about this EFFEA project is the requirement that each application involves a number of festivals. So it's not just one artist and one festival. And I think, you know, we each time we as the jury have gone through these applications, you know, we've worked at what are the things that are the most important. But I think this opportunity for connection is really important, and you know that this opportunity for artists to encounter maybe not only the festival that has discovered them already, but also, you know, it requires the festivals to introduce the artists to other festivals, but also festivals being this place for encounter between artists, and where new artists, and you know, just like your experience with Elbenita, you know, for emerging artists, in a way, to be able to imagine themselves in the same alongside these established artists, that in a way you I think certainly one of the things that I discovered quite early was that, you know, an emerging artist and a very established artist actually often has much more in common than they think they do, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Are there any questions or comments from anyone who's listening? I know it's still very early in the morning, and people may not have warmed up their voices, but I wonder whether there was anything that you might have heard so far this morning, or anything you've been thinking about. Any questions for Elbenita about any part of this journey? And so tell us, Elbenita, maybe while we're waiting for questions. Yeah, so what are the, you've talked about Vienna, you've talked about um, Edinburgh. What other
Yeah.
things are happening that you're excited about or feel particularly challenged by?
Um, well, challenged. It's interesting because not to be my God, but uh, I love challenges, so I don't take it as a difficult thing, the challenge. But it's next season I'm debuting the role of Louisa Miller, so that's a big thing that I have to prepare. And the other challenge is that I've started to learn French, so that's a challenge. So it's making myself better every day and every day. Sorry about the noise. The people are starting to come. We are going to start the rehearsal in a bit. So.
No problem. How do you like how do you this process of preparing a new role? So presumably you've decided, you know, uh, quite a time in advance that you're going to,
Yes.
you know, work on this enormous role in this enormous opera. What's that process like? How do you decide the roles that are right for you? How long in advance do you think about this? And what's the process of preparing sometimes over years for these roles?
Yes. Well, we know at least 2 years ahead of at least, sometimes maybe 1 year and a half, but 2 years it's the right time. And I never actually decide on a role without discussing it with my teacher and without getting her opinion if I can do it, because she knows my voice better than anyone else. And the process, it's long. It's sometimes it makes you very tired. Now, 1 month ago to maybe 2 months ago, almost 2 months ago, I debuted the role of Tatiana, which was in Russian, and it was quite challenging for me to sing in Russian. So I spent a year just going through the words and studying every day, this role that was for me a very unknown language, because Albania doesn't have anything to do with Russian. So there was a lot of work. I work, first of all, I work with a Russian coach, and then we do work with a pianist, and then I invite my teacher to listen. It vocally, everything sits right. So it's a lot of work behind the curtain. It's not just that last month, but it's a very long process.
Um, this has been fantastic, Albanisa.
Thank you.
It's great to yeah, to discover your journey and to discover the work that you've been doing. Um, how is the work going in Zurich? How are the rehearsals
It's
for this
very
new
good.
project?
It's very good. My colleagues are now arriving. We start. It's very nice. It's a modern production, but it seems to be very interesting. We started yesterday, so we are getting into it slowly. I like to sing in Zurich. I did Contessa before. It's a beautiful opera house, and it's a very nice work environment.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking this time
Thank
to
you.
be with us. Um, and yeah, I hope we get to meet each other in 3 dimensions rather
Yes.
than just in two
Yeah.
dimensions at some point in the future. And I know I hope I have the opportunity to see and hear your performance live at some point
Yeah.
before very long.
And I hope
Um,
we work together.
it'd be great. Yeah,
That would be
absolutely.
even better.
If anyone has an opera house or a festival that's listening, you know
Yeah.
where to find us.